Hey, it's Robbins, Technology Marketing Toolkit, and we are back in the second video of this series teaching you how to build the ultimate IT sales and marketing plan for your technology business. So in the first section, we covered quite a bit of ground. We talked about what a marketing system is, what it consists of, and in this segment, I'm going to show you some real-life client success stories and strategies that have been implemented and how they've worked, so you get a better sense of how this whole marketing system comes together. Okay, so the first example I want to go into is with Satima Fowler, Capstone IT, and she was a struggling managed service provider who went from $6,000 in managed recurring revenue to over $150,000 in a very tough economy. And she was taking an average of 5 months to close a managed services contract. She was getting nothing but maybes, spending hours meeting with and preparing proposals for prospects who just wouldn't buy, and did not have a sales process in place. Satima and her husband Mike are technicians, like not salespeople. So just to give you just a recap, again, most of you watching here, my chances are you hate selling, you hate marketing, you really don't like it, and therefore you're going out and you're making the mistakes we talked about earlier. You're winging the sales process, really don't have anything in place. So I gave Satima what, again, you've heard me reference it, I call it the slippery slope sales process. It's just that, it's a documented, systemized way of closing a managed services sale, but again, it can be used to close whatever you want to recommend. What you sell, whether it's break fix or cloud services or whatever it is, it's irrelevant. The process of uncovering what the client wants, what their needs are, and then putting together the most attractive proposition or value proposition to solve that problem is what we're talking about here. So just understand, when I talk about selling, I'm not talking about slimy, tricky sales closes. Forget that. That makes you feel bad. It doesn't make the prospect feel any better. You know, that to me is just, don't do that. You know, don't read sales books that have all these ways to close a sale and all this. You know, I think if you do your job right, if you do a full discovery up front, you genuinely care about your customers, you genuinely care about getting results for them, you're a really true pro, that you really know how to solve problems for clients and you can do it better than your competition, you really don't need a fancy sales process. You need one kind of outlined. You need to be professional enough to be organized, to have those things, and you definitely want to think that through, but you don't want to think that there's nothing here that's tricky or slimy or anything like that. So just keep that in mind as we look through this case study. First, we implemented direct response marketing campaigns to attract prospects to her as the expert. I showed you a couple of those. I'm going to show you the ones she's been using. We implemented a pre-meeting qualification script and the shock and awe marketing package I showed you earlier. We mapped out the entire sales process with scripted sound bites for building value and wedge questions. And so let me explain to you really quick what a wedge question is, because someone's going to be asking that, I'm sure, on the commenting that's going on below the videos. A wedge question is a way that you can sort of help a customer understand where they're being underserved without saying anything bad about who's serving them right now. And to give credit where credit's due, I learned this from Randy Schwantz. He wrote the book The Wedge. I'd recommend you guys read it. And essentially, what you've got to realize when you go into a prospect, your best prospects are probably people who are already outsourcing their support to somebody else. I mean, think about it. Those are your best prospects because they already want to outsource it. They've demonstrated a willingness to pay money for those services because they've hired someone else. But you want to find them where they're dissatisfied. Now, often when you, with your marketing efforts or as you're talking to people, you go up to a prospect and you'll say, hey, we do IT services or whatever your 30-second pitch is. And a lot of people say, hey, you know what, no problems there. We got that covered. We already have somebody we use. So the question is, what do you do then? Even if you know they're being underserved, you can't say, well, that guy's an idiot, you know, he's not doing this, that, or the other, because then it becomes very adversarial, all right? So a wedge question is a way of helping them understand they're being underserved without saying anything bad about the other guy. So I'll give you one as an example, but you know, I would recommend you master this. And an example of one would be, so Mr. Prospect, the last several months when your current IT person sat down with you and showed you a report, a checklist of a test restore or the results of a test restore from your backup. So to show you that all your data was being backed up and it could be quickly restored And he showed you that report so that you didn't have to worry about, well, geez, if we get hit by a fire or flood or the server goes down, we knew you could be back up and running fast. So when he sat down and did that process with you, how did that go? And a lot of cases, they're going to be sitting there going, well, hang on a second, my guy never does any test restores. He never runs any kind of fire drill. And then you say, well, is that not important to you? I know, and of course, a lot of prospects are going to go, sure that is. I mean, they should be doing that. Now, if they say, no, that's not important, then, you don't worry about it. That's why you have to have multiple wedges. So another wedge could be, well, when your current IT person sat down with you and your executive team and they put together an acceptable use policy that outlined how your employees could use your computers, the internet, how they could use data, what they could or couldn't post on social media sites or send out an email. And they went through that process with you and then delivered the training to make sure your employees weren't using company email for, spamming out really nasty jokes or things that you don't want associated with your company. How did that process go? And they're going to sit there and go, well, hang on a second, my guy hasn't done that. So hopefully you're getting the idea. The idea is asking these questions that are framed properly to help them understand what this person should be doing but isn't. And if you look at a lot of the marketing, the free reports and stuff, if you're a customer of mine watching this, in the free reports, go back and read them. You can see how we're implementing those kinds of wedges in the educational reports and videos and scripts that I'm giving you. But that's what a wedge question is. I know I'm going to get tons of questions, so I just figured I'd explain that. So now let me show you, one of the things we mentioned with Satima was that we revised her sales process with the shock and awe and the pre-qualification script and these wedge questions. And now let me show you the other piece of that, which is we started doing educational or direct response marketing to get people to seek her out. So what you're going to look here at the screen, you're looking at an email that she sent out. And it's a very simple text email. I have found text emails work better than HTML when dealing with B2B professionals. Now, to clarify, fancy pictures in HTML often say spam. And the only time that I've actually seen fancy pictures in HTML emails work better than plain text is when you're selling a product. So it's a visual thing and you want to show this product you're selling, and then that might make sense to show a picture. But think about most of the emails you get from people you pay attention to, your employees, your clients. It's usually text emails, very short, very simple. Stay within that same framework. So you see this is a very short text email, talks about the client's problems. And what she did is she went out to potential joint venture partners or JV partners. And so some of those people were associations, nonprofit organizations, other non-competitive businesses who are serving the same kind of clients that Satima wanted to connect with. And she had them send out this email on her behalf to their clients. See, that's what a joint venture is. A joint venture is another non-competitive company servicing the same customers that you are, and they are introducing you to that client base, okay? So she went out there, and there's a whole strategy around this, and she went out there and said, hey, would you send this out to your customers? It's like referrals on steroids for her. So this goes out. All right, and again, it goes from the JV partner to their list, okay? Now, I've had people do very successful joint venture partners with line of business applications, with commercial real estate, with telecom companies, people selling phone systems. There are some companies out there that sell and maintain printers, but they don't necessarily do the entire network. These are all ideal companies for you to partner with, where they are going to refer you to their clients, and in exchange for that, it could be a cut of the sales, it could be that you're going to endorse them to your client base, it could be working together. There's a lot of different reasons why you'd want to partner with other people, and I'm telling you, joint ventures are one of the least expensive, most successful ways to get new clients. We get about 90% of our clients through strategic joint venture partnerships. And I've got several clients who are selling IT services that generate literally millions of dollars every year in new sales from new customers using this strategy. So this is just one way of applying this. This is how Satima used it. So after that email is sent out, it drives them to the web page. You're seeing this here. And the website says it's obviously offering a 27-point problem prevention network audit. There's a video there of Satima talking about who she is, just kind of a short intro video, and getting them to fill this in. Now, every time she uses this form and this process, she generates between 10 and 30 good qualified leads. Now, here's what's key about this. Think about it. Now, when Satima needs more sales, she's not out there going, well, do we do postcards, or what do we do? Should we do this trade show? She knows exactly how to produce it because it's a system. It's a chocolate cake recipe. You add these ingredients in this order and you do these things and boom, you got clients, all right? And that's what's really important about marketing systems. You don't want it to be random drive-by attempts to get customers. You want to have it so that it's a systematized, organized process for doing it. And once you figure it out, you can replicate it over and over and over again. Okay, so what kind of results did Satima get? After implementing these things, she's closing deals in 3 weeks versus 5 months, which it was taking her. She's closing 4 to 5 contracts a month and has added $124,000 in managed recurring revenue within the last 5 deals closed. But the key, what she's saying here, is she now has a documented sales process. And it's not some mysterious art that she has to figure out. It's a process, and not only has she learned it, but now she can teach it to every salesperson that she hires, so now that she can really grow her organization. And she knows her numbers. She knows within sort of a certain range how much revenue, how much sales are going to be coming in the next month or in the next quarter. It's not guessing. I mean, so many business owners have no idea. If I said forecast your sales for this month or this quarter or this year, they're guessing. They're hoping that's what's going to come in. They have no scientific way or logical way of forecasting because they have no systems. They don't know how to fuel that, so they don't know kind of process in and what comes out. They just kind of sit and hope that nothing bad happens, that a major attack on the U.S. or some other crazy thing happens that puts their sales sideways, or the economy goes into the tank, or whatever. You want to have it down to where there is a simple process, or I should say several simple processes and systems in your business to generate money. I mean, this is a really critical thing, guys. All right, so let me give you another example. Tom Malesic, Easy Solutions. I want to talk about how he went from $0 in managed services to $658,000 in new managed recurring revenue. Now, Tom had a web design company, but he knew nothing about selling IT services. So he bought an IT service company to expand his service offering, but this was a new business for him, and the company he bought had no marketing materials, no campaigns, no sales process in place, and he needed to ramp up quickly because he had this expense of buying this business. All right, so this is the situation. So again, zero, starting from cold, flat numbers. How do we build this? So one of the things we did is we revised his website to capture leads, and you're looking at Tom's website. And you'll see on here it says, are you searching online for a computer consultant because your company's network is running slow, acting crazy, and you can't depend on your current solution? If so, we're offering you a free 2-hour on-site support visit to diagnose your computer problems and prove we can do a better job. And he's got a couple things. First of all, compelling headline. He's got no geek speak or mention of managed services, a very valuable offer. It's written entirely from the prospect's perspective. Testimonials are up front, right there. They're video testimonials. There's clearly a way to respond. When you get to this page, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. There's the social media tie-in. All right, so you can see if you looked at Tom's website and you compare it to most IT people's website or even your own, you're going to see it's very personal. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. There's value in advance. It's written from the customer's perspective, not in techie geek speak that says, welcome to our homepage, which tells you nothing, right? It's just wasted space. So we did that. Now, another thing we did is Tom also implemented a video tip of the week. And you're seeing here on this slide, you're seeing an example. In this one, he's talking about a backup solution. Is it prehistoric? And I think that's Sue from, I don't know, I think he might have been in Chicago. And he took this quick video and said, hey, you know what, your backup, if it's a tape drive or you're using thumb drives or some crazy thing like that, might be a dinosaur. If you want to learn more about a better solution, then opt in here. So you can see, and he's got video testimonials. He's got the free report offer there. So he started doing that. He also wrote his own book. And like I mentioned earlier, Tom does web design as well as IT support. So in this case, he used it to drive more web business. So what your web developer never tells you, and it's a great self-published book, he also put that into an audio business card. So now all of this, imagine this, he's using this book, he's using this CD, And when he goes into a prospect, he said, it has changed the conversation that I have with the prospect. It's now no longer, well, what is exactly you guys do? And sort of that fear and skepticism, to basically people call him up now and go, I know I want you guys to design my website. How do we get started? Where do we start? Okay? Changed entirely the sales process for him. So I'll show you another campaign he implemented, because this is really cool. Referral campaigns. Now you're seeing here, he ran 2 different referral campaigns. This one, which is featured opposite, you can see it here on this web slide, and a referral contest where he gave away a flat screen TV to the company that brought him the most referrals. So essentially what you're looking at here is the campaign for his referral system. So essentially, he hands out these $25 faux bills with his picture on it, describing what the referral process is, or what the reward is. And essentially, when someone gives his company a referral, they give that person $25. If they close the deal, they get an additional $50. And if the person they referred again becomes a customer, they get $100 off the services. So everybody wins. Now, in using this, I mean, just look at the results from this one campaign. He implemented this, and there were some more strategies. It wasn't just like handing this out. I mean, he did a full promotion to his clients, generated $110,000 in annual managed recurring revenue, 77 leads, 36 closed, and this is just based on early numbers. I don't even know exactly how much this played out into. But just think about this, referral contest, he does this, so just to bring you back here, so he does this referral contest with the 25, or referral strategy with the $25. He implements that. Then he decides to run a referral contest. And he says, okay, so the client who gives me the most referrals in the month of January, I can't remember what month it was exactly, we're going to give you a flat screen TV. And here's what we're looking for in a referral, et cetera, right? Well, that campaign alone generated 57 referrals over 2 months, 19 converted to customers, and generated $156,000 in new sales. And that's not counting the recurring revenue. So you could see this was sitting dormant in his client base, just waiting to happen. And once we put a process around it, once we put a system around it, you could see the kind of results that have happened. And I've had so many IT companies come to me and go, Robin, you don't understand, we need more new customers. And I said, well, have you gone to your existing customers and asked for referrals? Yeah, well, we asked them once. You know, well, that's not a system, that's not a process. And what was in it for them? That you probably didn't think it through very strategically. There could be absolute gold sitting in your client base, and you just need to figure out a way of going to them, making it fun, making it valuable for them, and putting some strategy around it. So in total, what does this all happen? So Tom, here's the results he had. Again, you saw this from earlier. He is our current spokesperson. And within a year, he added $35,000 a month of recurring revenue. And if he doesn't grow or shrink this year, do anything different, he's already got $658,140 in recurring revenue already booked. And he said, that's amazing. Think about this. He actually knows with absolute confidence his payroll is covered for the rest of the year. Any new clients and sales he gets in, gravy. So imagine being able to have that in your business. Imagine how much more confident you would be about hiring technicians or growing your business if you knew you could generate sales like that. If you knew you could get those contracts in, recurring revenue, build equity. That's why I keep telling you it's so important to have these systems figured out. All right, so let me give you another example. MJ Shore is president of Generally Technology. I'm going to show you how he turned $1,800 that's what he spent on a marketing campaign into a cool $250,000 in recurring IT sales. And MJ has no marketing experience whatsoever. He doesn't have a salesperson. He doesn't have a marketing manager. At the time, he was under $1 million in sales. He had a few technicians. He had an office admin. And he had happy customers, but he wanted to grow beyond a referral-only business. So here's what we did. First thing we did is I wrote for him what's called the Hassle-Free Computer Support Book. And we self-published this. It's really cheap to self-publish. You know, didn't cost him very much. Then we mailed it out to all of his clients as a gift. And we did this around Thanksgiving, I think it was. We also mailed it to the media and key influencers in his market area. So newspapers and the radio folks and association directors in his area. So here's what happens. He mails it out. Not only does he get a spike in referrals, but the newspaper wrote a story on him which brought in some more clients. But here's the real kicker. one of the executives of an association called him up and said they wanted to purchase. Now, I didn't say ask for. They wanted to purchase about 1,000 copies of his book at $3.25 each. And they asked, we want to purchase it and send it out to all of our customers. So, I mean, he had to really think hard about this one, you know. Someone wanted to pay him to send essentially a marketing piece to his customers. See, now, stop here. Listen. Think of this. This is where strategy comes in. By not doing a crappy brochure, which is boring, nobody cares what a brochure, by adding value in advance, by educating people, he's been able to position himself differently. He's been able to get somebody to say, I see a value in this. I want to buy this and give this to my 1,000 members with an endorsement. I mean, that's what becomes powerful. And so many people are sending out crappy postcards and these little trifold brochures that are boring and meaningless and have no value whatsoever. And here we are creating something that's extremely valuable to the customer. And when you do that, when you add value in advance, people want to buy from you. It's so obvious and simple. I don't know why more people don't do it. So, you know, we send this out, and when I asked him about the results, he said he can attribute a cool $250,000 in sales. Now that was just like short term. I'm sure that those customers have gone on to refer more and buy more, and he uses this as a positioning piece. He's a brilliant marketer, and he's a very successful, profitable business. And it's all due to this kind of marketing that I'm teaching you guys to do. All right. So let me give you another case study. Diana Spurgis, she's Business System Solutions, and she was working her butt off, working hours. She was doing billable hours. She said, you know, this kind of made me feel productive. It made me feel like I was doing something, you know. But the reality was it was killing her. You know, if she wasn't working, she wasn't making money. Now, let me share something with you. The definition of an entrepreneur is one who acts as an intermediary between capital and labor. Now notice the definition. It's not somebody who labors for capital. Okay, that's an employee, all right? An entrepreneur is someone who acts as an intermediary between capital and labor, all right? So if your business is you working billable hours and working your butt off, because if you stop working, you're not making any money, you don't have a business, you have a job, okay? And at some point, if you want to grow, you're either going to kill yourself, because if you want to double your sales right now, I'll tell you what, here's the secret. Double your hours. Now, if that's not possible, obviously you got to be a little more strategic about this. So you've got to, your role, and this is what Diana did, she realized, you know what, I got to stop being the technician in my business. I got to be the owner. I got to be not a tech who manages a couple other techs. I got to step out of that role. I've got to learn how to be a real entrepreneur and get the technicians to do the work and me to negotiate the sales with the customers and bring that in and get that facilitated and take the profit that comes from that. And that's exactly what she did. So, you know, think about this. She wasn't seeing her family. Her health was deteriorating. Her marketing was very corporate, professional brochures and collateral, getting zero results. She didn't feel comfortable marketing, so she's constantly procrastinating by staying busy with technical work and other easier work. And I remember her telling me, she said she had a brochure and a yellow page ad. And she said, man, just even doing that took forever to do. It was just like, you know, thinking about it, she's like, oh my God, it was painful, it was exhausting, it's crazy. But you know, you got to think about this. The first couple times you do anything, it's going to be harder, it's going to be difficult, you're not have systems. Yeah, you got to get beyond that. You got to figure it out. I mean, the first time you installed a network, I'm sure it didn't just happen. I mean, the first time you technically do anything, it takes a lot longer, right? You have to, you know, but think about when you're learning to write. Now when I could be talking to you, you might be taking notes right now. I hope you're taking notes. You're just writing across the page. You're not thinking about how you're forming the letters. I mean, it's subconscious. It's automatic, right? But think back to when you were first learning to write and you had to study and you had to really stick your tongue out. You know, and you're writing on the page and you really got to form the letters and stuff. Well, that's the way marketing can feel when you first start, because you're learning, and yeah, you got to get over that process. Everybody goes through it, everybody. But once you get beyond that, now you're being a true entrepreneur, because now you know how to bring in that money, ring the bell, get the clients to come in, and you know how to have a staff who can execute and fulfill on that. And that's really the biggest change, I think, with Diana in this case study. I'm going to show you some marketing she did. But I also want to underscore, you have to start looking at your time different. I'll share with you another really quick personal story. I just went to there's a small local gym nearby, and I decided to hire a personal trainer. Because I'm not as fit as I want to be. I want to sharpen up a bit. So I go in there and I got talking to the owner, and I always end up talking about marketing. I don't know, I can't help myself. And I asked the owner if she knew a common friend of mine, Bedros. Bedros does great marketing for fitness professionals. And she said, yeah, I know Bedros. She said, I used one of his campaigns and I got like 20 new clients. And I thought, great, that's awesome. And I said, well, did you run it again? And she said, no, she said, it's so hard running a business and doing all this marketing. Now, I want you to realize something, all right? I just took a class where she taught a class. It was an aerobics class. It was an hour-long class, right? Now, there was maybe 8 people in that class, all right? So let's say there's 8 people, and let's say they paid her an average of $10 to be there is $80, or let's even double it. Let's say it's, $160 she made in that first hour just teaching that class, all right? So she made $160. Now, she'd taken that same hour and reran that marketing campaign and get like 20 clients. An average personal training client is worth about $1,500. So if she took an hour to create that campaign and rolled that out, she could have generated $150,000. Instead, she's so busy teaching classes for $80 to $160, she ain't making any money. But you're doing the same thing. So you got to think about this, guys. Yeah, the marketing is hard, and she's sitting there going, well, I can't do the marketing because it's so hard and takes so much time. You can't afford not to do the marketing unless you want to keep your job and you want to keep doing what you're doing. So that's like the biggest change I want to make in this case study. So Diana really decided, you know what, we need to be a better marketer. I got to stop being this technician in my business, and I got to start thinking like an entrepreneur, all right? So here's some of the campaigns she put in place. This one you're looking at here, 37 reasons why you'll want to outsource all of your computer support to Business System Solutions. And this is a testimonial book with other reasons in here. Now, this isn't your average crappy brochure that most people send out. This is a really solid marketing piece, all right? So she implemented a much stronger marketing message detailing why a business owner should outsource their IT support over anybody else in the competition, all right? Very, very powerful. The next thing she did, she also wrote her own book. It was IT 101. It was an executive's guide to choosing a reliable, honest IT company, and also things that they needed to know to get the most out of their IT infrastructure and actually be more productive and get a return there. So she created this, sent it out in a letter. You're looking at the letter here she used to promote the book, and said, have you ever asked yourself, where can I really find a really honest, dependable, competent computer support guy that is responsive and easy to reach when I need him? And the letter goes on to talk about this book, okay? So that was another campaign. Here's another campaign. She actually said this was one of the most effective things. Now, this is definitely going to set off some alarm bells. Some of you are going to go, I could never do that. And what she did here is canvassing. Now, what canvassing is you take a marketing collateral. I'm not saying maybe you, because she didn't do it. She had like there's a lot of teenagers that'll do this for babysitting money, okay? So you get somebody to basically go around the local companies and drop off information about you. Now, she put together a letter, and she had a mug of candy, and here's what the letter said. Will you allow me to send one of my expert computer techs to work for you for free? And essentially, the letter introduced herself and said, hey, you know what? You've probably been burned or disappointed before, and I'll tell you what, I'd like to send someone out there just to fix the network computer problem of whatever's frustrating you for free, just so you can check us out, see why would we do this? Because, I know you've been burned, disappointed, and so forth. So essentially, she's saying, look, just if you have any issues, here, use this. And she said it was one of the most effective campaigns she's used. This idea of canvassing, even if you're a super savvy and you've got all kinds of great marketing in place, if you're not doing this, add it to the mix. It's super powerful. And you just, again, it doesn't have to be you. It can be an admin. It can be a teenager. It can be someone who you walk in an office, you drop off the materials, you introduce yourself. You're not asking to speak to the owner. You're not asking to sell them anything. You just say, hey, I was in the area. We were servicing a client local nearby, and I just thought I would drop this off. And you know what? If you have it, here's a letter. If you guys have any technical issues of any kind, we're giving away a free service call just to introduce ourselves to the neighbors that we have in our area. I mean, think about even in your own business park. I had at the last office I was at, I had a guy, the previous company that was supporting my IT. They don't do it now, but when he had to come into my office, he walked by 3 other businesses to get to our suite, which was in the back. There was a small medical practice up in the front, there was a mortgage company, and there was a builder. Okay, and he had to walk past these. Now, how hard would it be just to knock on the door and say, hey, you know what? We do IT support for Robin, who's right down the hall. And they know me. It was a small office. And, you know, I don't know if you need IT support or not, but, you know, I just thought I'd drop off this card and some information about us. And here's a mug of candy with our logo on it. And if you have any computer issues, you know, here's a card. It's a voucher for a free service call. Please give us a call if you have any questions. How hard is it to do that? It's not hard at all. How much is it going to cost you? Practically nothing. And then you ask for the business card in return, and then you can follow up if you want with phone calls or letters or whatever, put them on your newsletter list, but it's so simple. So that was one campaign that another campaign she implemented. She also started doing monthly newsletters and writing articles for her local newspaper. And you can see here, you know, there's a picture of her, very well branded, very simple stuff. She implemented telemarketing and a number of other things. But here's the results. She said, like many of my peers, I started my business because I loved the technical side and gave little to no thought about the other areas of my business. And marketing and selling were certainly not in my comfort zone, but thanks to Robin's marketing and business advice, I've been able to step into the role of being a true business owner and was able to generate an increase of 110% in new contracts, which will return $1.3 million over the lifetime of those clients. Now think about that. She couldn't bill out that much. She would be working from now until doomsday trying to get all that money in herself. But she fired her clients, and this is a true story. She went to her clients and said, I'm not doing billable hours. She just said, that's it, enough's enough. You got to kind of pull the Band-Aid off fast, right? And she just did it. And she took that extra time to scramble and really focus on the marketing and the strategy side of her business and the customer service. She loves serving others. She's a tremendous lady, very sharp business lady. I can't believe that selling's not in her comfort zone. You wouldn't know it by talking to her. And I think that's the same for a lot of you. Again, get out of your head that selling and marketing is some slimy act of tricks and so forth. Think about servicing your market. Think about adding value in advance. Think about doing things that are going to differentiate you because you truly can help that client better than anybody else. And when you take that mindset, these are the kind of results that are going to be sure to follow. Let me give you another example. Frank Bellator, New England Computer Group, he went from generating 0 leads online to 7 appointments in just 3 months after some changes to his website. So he had a very techie website for years, and he was never able to generate any leads off of it. And he admitted he wasn't good at marketing, and you're going to see that is true when you look at this website in a minute. And he just didn't know what to do, what to change, where to start. So let me show you an example of his website. So if you're looking at this, this was his homepage. I mean, this is the most god-awful thing. And you see all the logo soup down there on the right-hand side. And, you know, we're a full-service consulting firm offering enterprise-level technology solutions for small, blah, I mean, just puking all over them, right? That's what everybody seems to do. They love to tell you everything about what they do. No value. I mean, would you want to read this? I mean, it's techie stuff. So there's no compelling headline. It's written from their perspective, meaning the technician's perspective, right? Because you look at this, he's talking about we specialize in designing, implementing, and supporting automated systems on local wide area networks, including VPNs, remote access. Service providers include virtual private network, LAN, WAN implementation and support, disaster. I mean, my God. I mean, who is going to read this? I printed it out when I get insomnia. I read it to put myself to sleep. It's terrible. Now, he knew that, and I can make fun of Frank because he's a good guy. He's, you know. But the point is, it's written from a technician's perspective. There's no benefits, no differentiation, completely written in geek speak. There's no offer. I mean, what just here's our phone number and we'll help you? I mean, there's not even a phone number when you look at it. No testimonials, no guarantees, no clear way to respond. So the conclusion is you're just another IT service company. Be skeptical, shop on price. That's what most people are going to look at when they look at your website. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, oh, well, I got a more professional looking website than that. It's got smiling people sitting around the computer. You know, or, you know, forget that stuff, guys. That's craziness. You got to be able to provide value. So let me show you what we did. We changed his website, and this is what it looks like afterwards. Now, you can see it's so clean and easy. That's Frank right there, and it says, are you a small business owner who's fed up with computer and network problems that cause disruption and downtime when you just need to run your business? Then it's time to give us a call. Bam, right there, says it all. Pretty easy, free report. So we got a compelling headline. There's a valuable offer. It's written from the prospect's perspective. There's no geek speak. You got testimonials here on his website. There's clear instructions on how to respond with the free report. He's got up there in the menu, you can see why NECG. So he actually details why you want to hire them. He has it there on the homepage as well. There's a social media tie-in at the bottom, which you can't see because I couldn't fit it all on the page here. And so the conclusion is clearly these guys understand our problems better than most IT companies. So again, hopefully you see the before and after and you can see the change. Now think about this. I'm going to show you Frank's results. He's been in business for 19 years. He says, I'm blown away by the results generated from our website. We've been in business for 19 years, have never generated good qualified leads like we are now. After implementing Robin's suggestions, we generated 7 leads or appointments, not just leads, but appointments in 3 months and closed $65,600 in new sales so far. All right, 19 years. I hate to think of what he lost. Think about this, all right? 19 years, that crappy website's up there being the anti-sales to his organization. He puts this up and in 3 months generates $65,000 in sales. Think about this. I mean, guys, if that doesn't wake you up, I mean, for Frank, it was like light bulb going off. You know, think about all the people who are visiting your site. If you have a geeky, techie website and it doesn't add any value and there's nothing on it to make me want to engage with you or doesn't differentiate you in any way, doesn't show how you specialize in anything, you're going to always be shopping on price. You're going to be waiting for the scraps to fall from the master's table, all right? That's just the way it's going to be. You can change that though. And that's why the marketing has to start strategically. Going back to the previous video, we're talking about the big picture strategy. You got to think about that. Where are you going to make money? What's your niche? What's your play? What's your competitive advantage? And then you start thinking about marketing systems and how do you communicate what you do in a more effective way. And then you get into these tactics. Because that website, it doesn't matter. It cost him the same to have that website put up as the crappy one. And it's just like, think about this, direct mail. The post office doesn't care if you mail a really killer sales letter that generates $1 million or a lousy sales letter that generates $0. It still costs the same to print, to mail, to get it out there. So if you just think about how much more effective all this stuff's going to be once you get your messaging right and you understand the process that I'm teaching you here. All right, and I want to go into one other case study. And a lot of people out there, I've shown you a lot of US-based companies, all right? And these are big, small, they're all diverse, they're all over the country, East Coast to West Coast, every place in between. And I bet you there are some international folks watching this in Canada, in England, in Spain, in Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, you know, I don't know where you are right now. And I know there's a lot of you going, well, you know, that all might be well and good, Robin, it works in the US. That would never work here because people are more fill in the blank. I've heard it all. You know, they're more conservative, they have a different sense of humor, they won't respond to this kind of marketing, and it's bull, okay? It's bull. I'm going to show you an example here of Stephen Swavely, who is down in Australia and implemented this. So let me give you a little background on Stephen. First off, he had a $1.5 million IT services company, but several bad events forced him to dissolve it and start over. He had to deconstruct that business, and it broke his heart. And he was working his butt off after rebuilding it, spending little to no time with his kids, and he still wasn't making any money. He was putting all this effort into it. And he hated sales. He said he was clueless about marketing his business. So here he is having to start over, having this failed business, and he doesn't know where to start. What do I do? How do I do this? So he came across my website, and he actually told me, he said, at first, you know, I was really skeptical. I was really kind of skeptical. Even though you had a guarantee, I didn't even trust the guarantee, but I guess he was so desperate, it just, you know, I figured, what the heck, he'd give it a go. So here's what we did. Let me show you some changes. Of course, we changed his website, and the website's really key because that's the hub of all marketing, whether you're doing direct mail, referrals, any kind of lead generation. Your website is where everybody's going to go and check you out. So we updated his website with a more powerful marketing message. And again, you can see his picture there. There's 9 things he does better. There's free stuff. He's got testimonials, how we work, the services offered. And right there on the homepage, 6 reasons to outsource your computer support to navigate them. I mean, right there, bam. I mean, you don't have to go searching for it. Really simple. And he's not talking about managed services or 24/7 support, or we do spam filtering or any of those things, or VPN and cloud. Clients don't care about that. They want their network to work. And they want to know, are you the guy I can trust, or gal I can trust, to get this done, right? So that's one of the things we changed. Then we started implementing telemarketing to build his house list, and then started sending sequenced direct mail campaigns to sell backup and disaster recovery services, managed services, and network upgrades. Now, this is an example of a letter that is pretty famous around here. It's called the bad date letter. A lot of people have used this. And actually, this letter is responsible for generating literally millions of dollars in managed services sales. I mean, this thing works. It's a 4-page letter, and it's actually a sequence of letters you send out. That's what I mean by sequenced. You never want to send one-shot anything. You send out one-shot direct mail, forget it. You might as well not waste your time. And Stephen actually gave me this analogy. It's a perfect analogy. You got to look at marketing kind of like the fire under a boiler, okay? When you light that fire and you fire it up, you want steam. But you got to get the water boiling first, and it takes some time to build up the heat and build up the heat and build up the heat until the water starts boiling, and then the steam comes. So many business owners, they mail out one postcard, or they update their website a little bit, or they implement some telemarketing, or they do some social media, or they go to this trade show, and it's just these random kind of little here, and it's just like this lukewarm, fire. It's not even a fire, it's a lukewarm heating pad under their boiler. And then they're sitting there going, why am I getting no steam? It's because you got to put some steam and everything. You got to give it some time to build up pressure, and then it happens. So he started sending out these sequenced direct mail campaigns, got his website right, did telemarketing, and cleaning and qualifying the list, validating it, then sending direct mail, and he was doing it on a regular basis, not just one-offs. Then he started sending his monthly newsletter. So again, he's sending this to clients and prospects to sell other services. I mean, you can see on this example, there's something about a remote workplace action plan, details on page 2. And he was really providing a lot of value in these newsletters, which, by the way, I write them. Okay, it's self-serving, but I do write them. And he uses, at least he sends them out. All right, and then what we also did is we created several free reports and informative articles. Now, the one such as the 10 disaster recovery essentials for small business, and how to avoid the 5 budget-busting, stress-inducing mistakes when moving your office, which you're seeing here. So we implemented that. We also implemented a Rob and I's business card in networking events and canvassing. So again, the canvassing, I already explained that. Going to networking events, he'd hand out this get out of computer trouble free card. It was for 2 free hours. All right. He also implemented a referral marketing plan and campaign. Okay, so what kind of results did he get? All right, so we're looking here. He says, I have to admit I was pretty skeptical about Robin and her program, but I decided to give it a go. Thank God I did. Now I no longer live month to month. My business is profitable and can function without me. That means if something were to happen to me, my wife and children would have a wonderful asset instead of a noose around their neck. To anyone who reads this, I have one piece of advice: just do it. And there's his numbers. His gross sales in this one last year, up 23%, net profit up 22%, managed recurring revenue up 184%. So, and he's in Australia. He's using the same campaigns and the same strategies that people in the US are using, and it's working. So you just got to get over this, oh, it would never work for me, because it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Don't put that skepticism, don't put that stumbling block. Everything is worth a test. You can test anything. You can test a guarantee. You can test a web page. You can see, hey, mail out a letter. See how it works. Test it. Don't just make an assumption that something won't work without testing it first, okay? That's all I'm asking. All right. Now, in this next video section, I'm going to get into the single most important lesson of all. So make sure you hang on and stay tuned for the next video and watch it through. Hopefully this was great. And by the way, just as an added value, I have the essays of my contestants for the Better Your Best competition we do every year. I mentioned it earlier, Tom Malesic, the Randy Halls, Brad and Victoria Myers, those kinds of people, the Stephen Swavely, Satima, and in those essays they detail how they were able to turn their business around and get some pretty significant increases. And one of the things I'm going to make sure that's on this page or somehow delivered to you are the essays so you can read them for free. It's really important that you understand how this is changing not only the way these guys market themselves, but the way they think about their business and how it's really impacting their lives. Because at the end of the day, we're all small business owners. And if you've got a crappy, stressful business, you're going to have a crappy, stressful life. All right? Let's face it. So we really got to get that area fixed. So I'm going to make sure that you get those as well. But again, make sure you hang on for the next video, because that's when I'm really going to give you the most important lesson of all. All right? So see you in the next video.